today's episode, I'm gonna make a water box and a fuel tank, and I'm going to be making quite the fuel system for over 1200 horsepower. That's gonna be so rad. Full and set up front to back, but I'm starting with the fuel tank and the water box for my intercooler because I'm running water to air intercoolers, and it is the only way to do it in my mind because it's badass. Let's do this. Obviously, I have an engine in the front. There's next to no room left. I've got big rads like you've seen me build. I have a little spot here I could make a water box with, but I need a water box. I want at least 20 liters of volume with the actual water box because I don't want to have a whole bunch of heat. So yes, I do have a big heat exchanger for my water box, but I don't want any issues. I want to be able to beat the crap out of this car repeatedly and not have any problems with drivability. Opening the car door and going in here, I've decided that I'm going to make a water box from down here, just in front of my firewall, and up. So this is behind the actual passenger seat that is not currently here. But I need it to be really high because my intercoolers are gonna be like this high. So if I want to be able to fill up my water box, it has to be higher than the intercoolers, or when I open the water box, it will actually spray out water because it's the low point. So it needs to be the high point. So I'm building a very tall water box, 27 liters of volume. And I'm done with my 3.7 liter fuel tanks. I'm gonna make one fuel tank for 2 fuel systems for 1200 plus horsepower. Back here is where I'm going to do it. I'm going to build a bash bar around the actual fuel tank to save its life when I hit things, because I know it's gonna happen. I'm gonna be building one right here, and I'm gonna have enough room to actually climb into the back of the engine bay still and work on it. So I'm not gonna have a rad and stuff in the way. All I'm gonna have is a fuel tank back here, and that's it. So I'm going to make a 13 by 13 by 16, and it's going to hold 44 liters, and that is so sweet. I'm building it with baffles, so I can only put 10 liters or 5 liters in if I want, if I'm really wanting to save weight. But if I'm doing race week, I need fuel. I need fuel to get to the next track. I need a lot of fuel tank for actually getting A to B. It's not just a race car, it's a fun car too. I want to be able to hop in this thing and do whatever I want. Road trip if I have to, drift if I have to, or drag. I want all of it. Going 6 by 10 by 28. And this is for my water box, and it's going to consume 27.5 liters of volume of water and coolant inside of here. Here's my gas tank. I'm gonna go 13 by 13, so that's 13 in width and length, and then in height I'm going 16. So it's only a little cube. It's about this big. Honestly, it's 44.3 liters. That's a huge fuel tank. That's like a stock size fuel tank in just a square. So I've got lots of room in the back, so I'm definitely gonna optimize for that because I do regret going with small tanks before. I'm gonna be making this piece right here and the bottom and the other end as one piece. So it's gonna be a U shape. So it's literally gonna be like that. So I'm gonna be cutting a piece like this and then bending it and creating that. So I have less welding, less bullcrap, quicker, and a lot cleaner. So I've already calculated everything I need to cut. So I put a steel blade in my dad's wood table saw, and I'm going to run this aluminum and bang this thing out. I just deburred them all. That was a pain in the butt. I'm going to start with my water box, and this is what it's going to look like. So it's going to have a piece on the side here and then a piece on the side there. So obviously this piece is long, and I've made it long so I can fold this up so I don't need to weld this seam and that seam. It's just saving time, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna mark it all out, and then I'm gonna clamp this right on the edge where I want it bent, and then I'm gonna hammer it or something. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna have to figure that out because I need to bend this up 90 degrees.
shorty, drop it for a real one. Yeah. Go ahead and pop it, let me feel some. Do it for the boy with a bag now. Movie star money making everybody act out. I don't lie to these women, if I want them, then I tell them. Don't get fly for these women, I was born with these propellers. All my haters cannot beat me, so I call them acapellas. See, I'm only getting better, you only get jealous.
That actually went really smooth. I don't know how I did such a good job, but I somehow pulled it off. And I'm very excited about that because that is a gas tank. It can't leak. This one turned out good too. I'm gonna tack them both together.
You know, I had this one, that one. Damn, it's gonna be a long night. Yeah. Empty.
Ta-da! So I've got it all tacked up, which is sick, but there's more work to do. I need baffles in here. I can't have the actual fuel moving left to right to forward to back too much because it will suck air. I'm going to be running a fuel net, which is way better for not starving the actual fuel pump. I'll be getting into that. It's a very serious fuel system I'm putting in. I need baffles just to make sure that when I do 360s and I'm making sure that it's actually gonna be sucking the fuel. One of the main reasons I made it so narrow, this is only 13 inches narrow. So that being said, is the fuel can't move left and right as much. So say I built it like this and this was the top of my tank. There's a lot more to go back and forth because this is 16 high, but even wider and gets worse and worse and worse, like I said. So I'm adding a plus sign in here and then it's gonna make very small pockets, but I'm not gonna have them all the way down to the tank so the fuel can flow underneath the actual baffle and it'll always have fuel at the bottom of the tank. And there's the first piece to the puzzle. So I've got the one in there and as you can see, I can stick my hands underneath. So fuel can come from the left to the right, just like this. So now I need to make the same thing to be just this wide and not wide. So then it's going to create a plus sign. There we go, my baffles are all set up and I can finger bang every hole in here. So there's 4 holes in here and I can finger them all. So that's good. So the first thing I'm gonna make is I'm going to make an overflow catch can. So when the rad overheats, it'll put it into this and it won't go under the road or anything. I've never actually had one other than a water bottle. So this is actually a huge upgrade for me. Didn't turn out so bad, looks pretty good, but it's hot. Sweet, so I got all my material already cut for my water box and it's just gonna go like this. So I'm going to be welding that in there. And then there's another one that goes over here and then Bob's your uncle, one on the top, and then it's gonna be good. I'm gonna tack this baby up. She ain't looking too bad. Look at that. Damn. Times, boys. That was a lot of fun. So this is my water box. So there's gonna be a hole in here. I'm going to add an inlet so I can actually fill this thing up. And I'm also going to add bungs for the ins and outs for the actual water pumps. And I'm gonna have to have 2 for each. So 2 ins and 2 outs. I'm gonna start my fuel tank now while I got the welder all out. Let's do this. That was great practice. Awesome. I'm very happy with that, and it is probably leak free. I'm going to definitely have to check that out. I'm gonna fill it up with water overnight and let it sit and then see if it's going to leak out. So here is my water box. I've already welded that like you saw earlier. I'm going to make the fill point at this point because literally it's going behind the passenger seat. That's why it's so narrow and not very wide. And it is very sleek, but it also holds a lot of volume. So it's basically a fill point like a fuel tank for a race car. You just turn to the left and it comes up, and I'm gonna be filling this with coolant and water and ice. I actually stole this off of an old fuel cell that I bought on Amazon. There's nothing wrong with it, so I'm just going to measure the outside diameter, about 4 inches I'm thinking. So I'm gonna cut a 4-inch hole there. But as you can see, it is definitely too wide. So I'm gonna have to definitely scribe that down. Definitely not high pressure application with just a water box for an intercooler. So it's gonna work, man. So just for fun, I mocked up my water box here. So my passenger seat obviously goes here. This is where my shifter is, and that is where my water box is going. And yeah, it seems really weird how it's high, but where else am I gonna put it? Where else am I gonna get that volume? Does it make sense? Yeah, it does. Does it make sense? No, not really. But this is where it's going. It's badass in my mind, and that's all I care about. And there's my fill point, and I'm very happy and pretty sexy. Looking sexy. My water tank and my fuel tank and my overflow. Can't forget that little baby. And I'm going to now mark out where my outs are gonna go and my ins. Because it's gotta flow out of the tank and then back into it. Sweet, so I marked out 2 on the bottom and 2 on the middle. So my tank is going this way in the car, obviously. And I'm putting the returns in the middle in case I don't actually need the full volume. And I'll run it to about here or something, and then it won't actually splash. Because if I have the returns up here and my level is only down here, it's gonna splash a lot, and that's literally gonna be behind my head and be really annoying. So I'm just gonna do it like that. So I got all 4 on, so these are 2 outs and 2 ins. So this is going to the water pumps, and this is going back to the tank after it's done going through my actual system. I actually quick made a bung here because I actually only had 3. For some reason, Amazon didn't send me one. That turned out actually really nice. So I'm stoked about that. Now I have to put on my actual fill neck that I'm using. I'm reusing it from my old E85 3-liter tank, and I don't see why that won't work perfectly, other than it's actually a little bit too wide. So what I'm gonna do is cut the actual thing to make it fit, and then drill new holes and stuff. So here is my fill neck, and as you can see, it actually goes over the sides a bit. So I'm gonna cut it straight until it's flush, and then I'm gonna make a couple new holes, and then it should be good. And then I'll just drill in the ones that were already there, and then it'll be mint. Aha, there we go. This is looking awesome. So it's all sealed up now, and it's looking great. Now that is looking fresh. I'm gonna throw it in the car and make some mounts. I gotta weld aluminum to the tank here, and then I've gotta weld something to the cage. So it's not actually going to move much because it's gotta be solid. There's gonna be a lot of weight of water in here. So I got it in behind my passenger seat, and it's looking awesome. So I've gotta make mounts to my cage and mounts to my bat. I got my 2 tabs, man. I'm gonna weld these right to my cage. So I got my steel plate and my aluminum plate bolted together. So what I'm gonna do is just grind down my cage, weld the steel to the cage, and then weld the aluminum to the actual water tank, and then I'm good to go. And then I'm going to do a triangle down in here just so it's a little bit more rigid. So I've got it back in there. I'm gonna weld that tab to the tank, and then I'm gonna put a hole in it and also put a bolt. Those welds turned out aight. Yeah, so this little triangle I added in is gonna make it way more rigid. It's very hot right now, but yeah, it's gonna be very, very strong. She's all done. Before I actually permanently mount this, I'm gonna wait until my paint dries. Now that is in there solid. Sweet, so it's all mocked up, done, and it's looking fresh, to be honest. No scratches, it's looking pretty. So there's 2 ins and there's 2 outs. And I've got my nice fill up here. It's looking awesome. Oh my god.
Is it a short throw shifter?
Yeah. A short throw, boys. Spinning.
That's fucking cool.
Oh, that was good. That was like 230.
Was it?
Yeah.
Is there a speedo on this?
No, but when you're past 4th gear, you're already at 2.
Oh.
And you were in
She's got a little bit of torque steer to her.
A little bit, yeah. Bang this limiter.
No, that's what this thing was meant for.
Yeah, I just thought it was funny. When you have the window open there, it just reels in exhaust.
It does. It's beauty.
Yo.
Can she bang a Yui on this? Or like Z-brake work?
It's great, man. Great.
Does it have no-lift shift?
Oh yeah.
I've never no-lift shifted a car before, so
You can do first to second if you want.
you just keep her pin and just bang it.
You forget your foot's floored and you just bang the gear.
I'll go hang it right at your shop or something. Is that a good spot?
Launch over the train track.
Oh, I forgot. Good suspension.
Test her out.
No, I was just
Oh, okay.
giving her a little fucking panda juice.
Baffler. That's where it'll pull the hardest. That's when it pulls the hardest. Down. Okay, go. Did you see his face? He's like, oh! 4 pounds boost.
No way.
Look.
That thing's a hunk of shit.
No, I'm serious. It's actually like on everything. It's 4 pounds of boost. 4 pounds of boys.
That feels way more. That feels
See, that's what I'm saying?
Fuck, that feels like
200 horsepower, bro.
That feels like 22 and a fucking looks like.
Yeah, because
Like one of those
their
1.8
China
shares.
turbos are like, yeah.